Welcome to another episode of Nightbeat Media's Living the Dream. I'm your host, Gregory Tucker. Our honored guest today is Bobby Cash Red, an independent performing recording artist and a businessman whose focus is on expanding his entertainment empire, Red Diamond Productions.
Yeah, Nightbeat Media, we in here. We living the dream, turning my dream to reality. Young entrepreneurs determine their own salaries. Yeah, they try to hold us back, but I'ma let you know, we ain't waiting for a welcome in, we kicking the dough, yeah. Live the dream, you know we live in the dream. Ain't no limits to our vision, Nightbeat, that's the team, ayy. Live the dream, you know we live in the dream. Ain't no limits to our vision, Nightbeat, that's the team, hold up.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Dream. Living the Dream is where we share stories of entrepreneurs, small businesses, and visionaries. Now, today we have an opportunity to have in our presence Bobby Cash Red, where he'll share with us his story of Red Diamond Productions, straight from Nashville, Vegas, and many other places in parts unknown. Hey, Bobby, thank you for...
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's good to be here, Greg. It's good to be with you. Good to be right here talking with the people, letting them know about my production, Red Diamond Production. Over 25 years in the business. By way of New York. It's all started in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, at an early stage. Then it graduated into New York City. And from New York, we just kept on graduating. And then I got an opportunity to travel and be productions with Kool and the Gang. My father got a chance to also work with King Records, James Brown. And I have a lot of solid background with that in King Records. Matter of fact, I used to work at King Records. Guess what? Stacking records. You have to start from the ground up and work your way into the production. So that's what my father taught me. Start from the beginning and work your way to the top. You don't go to the top because there's an opportunity already put there for you. You work your way up where people get a chance to see and appreciate you for who you are.
Okay. And that kind of reminds me of something I heard, and that is sometimes it's thinking about the finish line when really it's the journey that's in between starting and finishing that is the most exciting. Now, part of your musical background has been a part of your mentoring process or your legacy. Was your father was part of main ingredients? Were part of the main ingredients?
He was part of putting together, and his son, Gene Red Jr., was the one to put together the group Kool and the Gang and many other artists out of New York. And we were in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we had an offer to come to New York. He was working for King Records Recording Company as the main engineer for King Recording Company. All the James Browns, Charlie Fox, and a lot of other artists that you heard or we recorded with King Records or on King Records were artists that were provided by King Records, but he was the A&R engineer. He was the top engineer, my father was.
Okay.
Gene Red Sr.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so did he ever take you to the studio?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not only did I go to the studio, I had opportunities to play on some of James Brown's records, play my bass, tuba. I was in the tuba section of my schooling, Withrow High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I got a chance and I would walk my tuba on the bus or walk it on the street. And people would look and they'd be laughing and everything, but I was getting paid
Okay.
for every session that I'd done.
Okay. So,
Plus, I was in the high school marching band.
okay. So when did that defining moment say? Because sometimes children grow and they see what their parents do, but they choose to take a different avenue versus pursuing the same career as far as their parents. So what were one of those defining moments, or did you come to a pivotal moment, which is kind of like the fork in the road when you decide, okay, I'm going to go this way or I'm going to stick with the family business?
Well, I was bred into, like a prince has a king and a queen, and then there's a princess or the prince. I was bred at the age of 3 years old, playing the piano, banging on the piano, and so I started actually making music. My grandfather was a great, great man. His name was Tiny Myron Bradshaw. During the big band era, during the 30s and the 40s, he was making $400,000 when there was only nickels and dimes. So he was the bread and butter. He set the pace. And in my blood, it's in my blood. And I just been following that ever since. Okay. Like I said, through my schooling, being in bands, being in school bands, getting a scholarship, and just keep on going. And that's just been doing outside jobs, of course, to keep your bread and butter. And working at the studio, I worked at King Records. And then I graduated and went to another record company out there in Lincoln Heights. I worked out there at a gospel record company called Wright Records. And I became the photo engraver that made album covers and pressing and send it to the press for albums. So I went through the ranks of learning about albums, how to stack them, shipping them. I worked in the shipping department. I went through some facets. That's because my father was the A&R top-notch man there. I did not go through the easy way. I went through the steps and the stones. But while I was in school, I got the opportunity to play some bass notes on top of Papa Got a Brand New Bag, some of James Brown's really funky things by putting that heavy bass sound with the tuba on top of the bass guitar. And then I started learning to play the bass guitar. I play keyboard as well, but the bass guitar in particular. And I started learning different facets in meeting stars, James Brown per se. I'm very happy to say that. I think he was the main leader as far as funk or anything is concerning in the music business. And I had pleasures to meet him, pleasures to be around his company, his entourage when they came in. And that just kept me rolling into like, hey, one day I want to be like James.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I often hear. Many of our guests,
yes,
and entrepreneurs, they say that they model off of a person that's in that industry.
Yes.
And they look and they pick and choose. They look at the elements that were successful and some elements that it doesn't fit into their program. So they kind of kick that off to the side. Now, one of the reasons for living the dream and in inviting individuals such as yourself to come on and share your story is because in the process of sharing your story, that can help young people such as my protege, Aaron here, who are pursuing or have a vision of pursuing a career and building on a business far as in that industry as well. So in telling your story, I'm quite sure that that would be advantageous as far as to Aaron. Aaron, are there any questions that you would like to ask Mr. Red at this time?
So what made you so eager to make your song about your Corvette?
What made me so eager? By me designing the interiors as well as the exteriors that goes in the vet for Carl Black Chevrolet in Nashville, Tennessee, when I had a 14. I've had a twin, a 12, and a 14 vets, all brand new. And as they come in, this new one came out in 15 and 16 that changed the whole design of the vets, which was the next generation. From that, I was so inspired by the design and how they went into it of making more room, making it more high tech, and making it the car for the American car, like the Ferrari is for Italian cars. Mm-hmm. So to me, the American car and the dream car is a vet. It's the top of the line. But let's go back to that. I was so inspired from that. And when I saw the first one, and we ordered it from Bowling Green, Kentucky, that's where it's made at, up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, at the Corvette dealership up there. And then we brought it down here. I designed the car, and I'm driving it right now. That we came in and put it on the showcase floor. There was two that I designed, and each two I had never thought about. Actually, that car is my car. Every time I design one and we ordered it and it came in, they always say, "Cash, your car is here." I would say, "I haven't even ordered a car." The one car. They said the car that you designed. So anyway, that design was just so strong and so present that I had to write a song about it. So I wrote that song, "I Love My New Corvette," and then I put together the DVD for that, is "Baby Wanna Ride," and the dealership was so inspired by me doing that, they backed me up on the production of that and some of the expenses of "I Love My New Corvette," which is my new album. And here's right here, "Baby Wanna Ride." This is the DVD, and the new CD is "I Love My New Corvette."
All right.
And that inspired me to kind of get into my commercial part. I said, this year I'm going to make a commercial album, and then and also about the car itself. So that's been my inspiration of going that direction there with the car. I have also did other tunes. "Show Me on My Skateboard" is in my new album. I wrote that. It's about skateboarding. What people think about when they're skateboarding. When people are looking at skateboarders, what are they thinking? What is the skateboard person thinking as he's skateboarding? And then they show each other different sides and different movements. Oh. So I said, "Show me on my skateboard." So that's in there as well. Songs I write about are very youthful, very young. A lot of people saying, "Cash, you're like a 15-year-old thinker here." I said, well, yes, I'm very young at heart, and I'm always looking, and I write about things that I see that's inspiring, this movement, because I think movement is what we need. As long as we're moving, we can lay down, and as far as education, as far as our schooling, we have to be moving, and we're a moving race. We're a race of people that believe in motivation. And we need that motivation as well as I needed it for myself and to display my talent to other people, so to give them motivation to say, well, he's right on top of his notch. Well, what gave him that inspiration? Well, it's a lot of things gave me that, but I have yet more to give to the people. To the public. And not only I shared that here in America, I shared outside of the country with Saigon, Ho Chi Minh. I'm getting ready to do some things over there in Bangkok. I'm very much into the world, and the world and people of the world. Right. Because we're just not only about what's going on in America, it's just what's going on in the world, period. And how can we be and help our fellow brothers, because we're all one nation, one people, one God.
And that's it's fascinating as far as that you bring up those as far as world community, because that is something that the internet kind of opened up a whole new world, that the global community has gotten smaller or has gotten a tighter niche, because periodically I'm in communication as far as with people who are in Africa, Namibia. Some of those individuals have happened to have lived, or we have crossed paths at some time, and they're in different parts of the world, and we're still in touch with them right now. Sorry about that. That cell phone. That's another thing of modern miracles.
Yes.
Now, the other part of it, and that is, you had mentioned as you were closing, and that is how you're able to share why your purpose is of sharing as far as some of those experiences and that knowledge as far as with individuals. I came across a passage, and I heard somebody say at one point, and that is, a man that does for himself, a man that only does for himself when he dies, that's the end of that right there. But a man that does and helps others continues on. You know, it doesn't die what it does.
Yes.
It lives on.
Like that.
And that's part of legacy right there. Now, you are at the point in your life where you're looking at successes. Tell us
Can I
about
mention
those
one
moments.
thing, too, before I go there?
Okay.
I want to mention, when we talk about the world, I want to mention a little bit about Africa in particular. The reason I said that is in my album that I have before this album was Cash Care for Life, and then that album is talking about, and I wrote a song for the honoring and the birthday of Nelson Mandela, that I'm looking this year, hopefully one day, to get to South Africa and sing this song, Thank you, Mandela, for keeping hope alive. Of course, we had Martin Luther King, which of course is fine. That's the foundation, it's the stable, so on. But also we have Mandela as well. So I wrote a song, Thanks Mandela for keeping hope alive, because that's what the people need to know more about. And people already know about it because he was a great man. So I like to just pass that on to say that I'm not only just writing about certain things or cars or so on, but I write about things of certain quality.
Oh, yes.
So other people can see and hear. But I just wanted to mention that about Mandela because of his birthday, and at the same time the song that I wrote, and that album, Cash Care for Life, was a very serious album, and also was talking about AIDS and different things on that album. So just pushing it to say, check out the website and ask to say, I want to hear that Nelson Mandela or Keeping Hope Alive and about the AIDS song, because I'm about people and about caring.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good. That's good. Now, as I was about to get to, and that is because when we talk about the story as far as the beginning, and we talk about the end, which, you know, the ending chapter to anybody's life right at this point has never been written. So we don't know what endings are. But part of your journey at one point in time is so often there was pivotal moments, as we had talked about, the crossroads when you were going to decide which fork, at that fork, which road you were going to pursue. What about movement when you hit a speed bump? What was some of those obstacles or headwinds that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Okay, there is a time when you're moving toward the top that you're going to run into speed bumps, because there's obstacles all the time, and they're put in the way or put in the road for a reason. This just didn't happen. It happened for a reason. But you have to learn to get over and hurdle those speed bumps. Of course, everything is not paid for you. And even the ones that have been paid for them, there's still another speed bump. So you have to learn to take it and strive. You have to learn to go with the good and the bad. And everything is not always good. And what's always good for you is not necessarily maybe too sweet. You need a little bitterness. Life is bitter and sweet. And like I said, my friends over in India, they like to say, I like bitter better than I like sweet. So give me what? Lime versus lemon.
Okay. You didn't tell us about the speed bumps and the obstacles.
Okay,
though.
the speed bumps and obstacles.
Okay, so what was some of the obstacles that you ran into?
Obstacles, well, trying to get a deal.
Okay.
That was definitely my first record I had out. I was in New York City. They told me, Cash, you're right in the middle of the road. Okay. You're straddling the fence. You got to be R&B or pop. In my voice, I have that type of voice. It depends on the production. So I learned from that point there that my production has got to be more R&B-ish to put me over into R&B, because I was straddling the fence between R&B and pop, and you can't straddle the fence. Either you're R&B, you're pop, or you're gospel, but you got to be in a slot. So that way when people come to look for your music or to look for what you're doing, you're in that particular classification. Sorry to say, but you had to pick a class. So that was a speed bump, and I was lucky that, or blessed, I like that word even better, that when I was over in Madrid, Spain, traveling with the Main Ingredients, that I met some people that were going to open up a record deal in New York City, and they happened, I had their card, and they happened to be there, and when I finished my cuts and so on, I went to them. They gave me the first opportunity to be with their label. Okay. And I was like on a Spanish label, but I was like one of the first. And let me say this, that Motown put in on the website that there's a guy named B. Cash Red. He's got a hot tune out called Skate Party People, and it's just as hard as some of the Motown music. And they recommended it very highly for some people to go buy it. I was browsing through the website, and I saw it. I said, what? They put me right there in it with Motown. Skate Party People. That's the first song I wrote.
And I have saw that.
Yeah.
Or I saw there. And if you Google it out there, you'll see Skate Party People, and you'll see that Big Cash.
Right. On Duval Records. Duval.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. Now, let's kind of fast forward because we're kind of pressed on time here.
We're moving forward.
What are your current projects? Tell us about some of your current projects.
Well, current projects right now, I'm getting ready to set up some things back in Nashville with some of the CMA award winners, writers for country, and starting to spread and trying to get some of my people to get more in the country, but also have things available for them. So that's happening in Nashville. And then I'm also going back to Vegas and I'm starting doing some things with a guy, young man by the name of Bobby Rose. He's been out a while. I call him a young man. We're all young at heart. And we're teaming up together, and we're going to be doing some things, maybe some Sam and Dave tributes and so on. And then, of course, my other friend, I got some friends that's really solid, like Billy Eckstine's son, Freddie Eckstine, and also Wilson Pickett, some of his people and so on. And there's just a lot of sons from these people that you would think they're dead or something. They're not dead. Their music is still living. And that's what keeps you going when you want them to say, wow, is your royalties, your business aspects as well as your entertaining aspect. You want to have have all your cookies in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what will keep you alive.
And that's part of that legacy. And that's business. That's because that's show business.
That's show business. That's right. That's what they call it.
Business.
That's right.
Now, you have some pictures here. Tell us about those pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a picture here of me. Okay. Right. I love my new Corvette. Okay. Shot here in Vegas. I'm also with CDBaby.com, the mega distribution. My last CD, Cash Care for Life, and this new CD, I Love My New Corvette. Also here, these are my girls, the Perfect Cuts. The Perfect Cuts are young ladies. They were with me on my video. And if you buy Baby Wanna Ride, you'll see it. You'll love it. And they're very young, exciting. DJ Star Chameleon, the young lady's over here. She's like about 25. And then, of course, I have Dee Dee Smith. At the time when she did the video with me, Dee Dee was 19, okay? I believe in young blood. I believe in young blood because that's the future. So I'm always giving people opportunity.
So he's a producer there,
yes.
that young man over there, making beats.
Okay, well, that's good. I got a guy right now who's got a bunch of beats that want to do something with me. Okay. But opportunity presents itself to the future. Like I said, I'm looking for raw talent, undiscovered talent, because that means it's good to be nurtured. It can be nurtured, and you can talk, and they understand, and they're willing to listen.
Okay. Well, that's good right there. I know I was blessed and fortunate. And I appreciate that I went out to Vegas when you were out there the last time.
Opportunity presents itself,
and did some work.
On my album, Cash on the Rise.
Yeah, Cash on the Rise.
That's right. You shot the whole video.
Yeah.
And let's give you a clap for him because you did a beautiful job, and it was well accepted over in Asia. I went over there, I played it, and it's still playing, and they're still doing it, so it was excellent.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity as far as doing that. Again, and that's one of the things that I find with so many artists. When we used to do another old program, Hometown Showcase, that a lot of artists that originated from this area that maybe not in the area which where we're at right now were so appreciative of the artist, but they did obtain success once they went across the water or across the pond, like in Europe and Asia and so forth. So that is wonderful right there.
Yes.
You have some upcoming projects. You just told us about that. What about your website, other information you would like the listening and the viewing audience to know before we wrap up?
Instagram, they can go to Instagram. They can pull up Red Diamond Production, B-Cash Red Diamond Production, and pull that up and see a lot and read a lot about what am I doing now and so on. And then, of course, I have a email, which is cashmusicman@yahoo.com. In my studio, I have a studio number that can be reached at. Anybody that has talent or think they have talent, they can call me at 702-301-4858. That's a Vegas number, but that number, you can reach it in any parts of the world. And at that time, if you have anything that you think, or if you don't know, let me take a look and tell you if you got it.
Okay. And that as an artist, as far as from back in the day also, you are modern because you're up to the speed, because you're bringing in new talents and refusing and reinventing yourself.
Fresh blood.
But let me ask you about this technology thing, because social media, that's been one of the things. And some artists, some mature artists, they were able, as far as to make that crossover and that changeover and utilize those tools. Some were not. So what was some of the challenges you faced as far as in using it, or are you still a work in progress?
That's a speed bump. That's a speed bump there. I'm still working on it. People that I know that's more knowledgeable, and that's what they do best, I let them do what they do best. We work out. That's where everybody can get a little bit of the envelope, you know.
Okay.
But yes,
like
get a little bit of the envelope, and we can extend ourselves from the knowledge that we learn. So I'm not about hogging it all. I want to share because you can't take it with you. And the best people you can share with is your own people. They're struggling, they're going to school, and they're learning. Let's keep them getting more educated by giving them a little bit off the envelope.
Okay. Well, hey, Bobby, thank you very much for sparing us some of your valuable time as far as coming in and with our audience. I'm quite sure that someone that's out there listening to this or watching this will be benefited or blessed far as with having that knowledge right there. Thank you for tuning in as we shared with you another story of someone turning their vision into a reality. Remember, when writing the story of your life, be sure you're holding the pen. That's a quote by Harley Davidson. And if you would like to share your story, please contact us at nightbeatmedia.tv. That's www.nightbeatmedia.tv. Or join us on Instagram, Living the Dream. Our Facebook page, Living the Dream, Nightbeat Media. Or look at us on our YouTube, again in the description. But remember, we want to hear your story.
Yeah, Nightbeat Media. We in here, we living the dream, turning my dream to reality. Young entrepreneurs determine their own salaries. Yeah, they try to hold us back, but I'ma let you know, we ain't waiting for a welcome in, we kicking the dough, yeah. Live the dream, you know we live in the dream. Ain't no limits to our vision, Nightbeat, that's the team, ayy. Live the dream, you know we live in the dream. Ain't no limits to our vision, Nightbeat, that's the team, hold up.